here as well. It's too dangerous.
It won't happen because Saigon Buffalo have been fantastic at the first half of draft.
That is a
Almost every time they've been very, very good getting through the first half. Things do slip off the rails sometimes.
They devolve a little bit.
Towards the latter half, but so far the Viego has been locked in as the answer to the Wukong. Of course, with a lot of these more targeted bans coming in, the Wukong does slip through, and Wei is going to have that coveted jungle pick into the Viego that has been very, very standard, but been interested to see what he's going to do. As, yeah, exactly. The Gwen is an option. Jack's still available, but she will be locked in anyway.
And Gwen, especially with the Vladimir ban, really easy pickup to come through here for Saigon Buffalo. Still technically flexible, even though it has mainly just been that top side. The Jax works well, does mean that itemization towards the top side of the map is going to be very easy for Hasmed, as he can just pick up things like the early steel caps. And while this matchup, I'd argue, is Jack's favorite, it is a matchup that with enough attention from Froggy, from Hasmed, or from BeanJ rather, or from Taki, can still be tilted into the Gwen's favor. Then on the flip side, for Bin, it's also playing into Viego Gwen is going to feel pretty good. Only problem with Bin is that he has had a aggressive tournament.
He's had an eclectic set of gameplay.
He's posturing aggressively, no matter the circumstances.
Absolutely.
As the Kalista does get picked up. Would not even be surprised, depending on what the pickup is here, to see Gala bind towards Wei as opposed to his actual support, something that we saw T1 do as well. Now, of course, throwing in a Wukong instead of a Rumble in that scenario is kind of a given.
Yeah, that's a better move.
But Wei, specifically on this Wukong, I'd expect to do really well. Wei has been very well-rounded on anything that isn't Volibear, so seeing that first half of the draft come out from RNG must feel good for their fans, as, again, Tristana into Kalista is one of the mainstay drafts that we've seen thus far. As Syndra ban is real interesting, because Syndra right now is not in the greatest of places.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what this means for the next pick. Of course, Froggy probably wanting to line up something that he would like to take away, as the Alistair removed from Taki. And yeah, talking about binding to the Wukong instead, if Gala's support was anyone other than Ming, like maybe I'd be like, yes.
Pick an enchanter, right?
No, but
yeah.
I just think that Ming is going to have so much power this game, right? We've seen, even when Ming was laning alongside Uzi, this was one of the most terrifying AD carries for him to be paired up against, not because it's Uzi, but because Ming gets another button to play with as well, so that he can re-engage. But it will be the Galio to be banned away here as well, so obviously looking like Froggy has an idea in mind as to what he wants to go towards. We'll see. Of course, Twisted Fate already banned away, so not looking for anything like that. Last ban here on RNG's side, likely going... Oh, it's going to be the Vex, so not going to continue pinching the support role. It's going to get rid of that mid laner. Another option now is Saigon Buffalo thinking about the Rise. Hasn't necessarily been very successful so far this tournament.
Got into the dreaded second half.
This is the dream, though. Oh, there it is! The Malzahar has been locked in. Blind pick Malzahar. Oh, man. It's like I like how today has been sort of like the ghosts of very passive Korean mid laners of the past. You know, I feel like there is a... I know, of course, this is just because I'm an LCK commentator, but I feel like Crown stuck his head in just a little bit. Nautilus going to be considered for Ming, certainly one of his absolute power picks. And another option, like just so many buttons that can start the fights that RNG are looking for. Let's see what the next pick is going to be to round this one out. Xiaohu certainly has a champion pool that is about the same length as the list of champions in the game.
Yeah.
See what he's going to go towards here, though.
I do really like the Galio ban, because to me, I think Caps has been the overall most well-performing mid laner when you look at the work that he's done for his team. But Xiao is such a pivotal part of what makes RNG as good as they are in the mid game, right? He is the glue that keeps the entire team together. And while a pick like Viktor, I love in terms of the damage profile, you need a really reliable AP source with all the AD that you've already drafted, otherwise it becomes really easy to itemize. Also, you don't care about malzahar at all, effectively, as Viktor. But it does mean that his ability to influence the side lanes is going to be somewhat mitigated, and that might put some pressure, especially with how aggressive Saigon Buffalo generally have played their early games. And for Xiaohu, it's going to take a little bit of time before he's actually able to pump out that damage, because if he gets a late game with Victor Wukong, he'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a very interesting draft. The priority pick of the Malzahar here for Saigon Buffalo, and with the bans that they had put out there as well, obviously knowing what they wanted to go towards, and is going to mean that Xiaohu is going to be largely stuck in that mid lane. Of course, Malzahar, no stranger to clearing out a minion wave or two. Viktor going to be picked in order to be able to answer that, but won't have the same level of mobility that Xiaohu has been afforded throughout this tournament so far, and that has been his point of power throughout his career, right? Being able to get into these side lanes, put things in the right position for his teammates. But I'm still looking at that Wukong, right? Wei is going to have so much power on that pick. The Jax for Bin, if he gets out of control, this game could certainly just go off the rails for Saigon Buffalo. But if they hold themselves together, this could be really explosive for the team that is yet to find a win here in the Rumble stage.
What I love about the Malzahar is the setup for individual picks, and it's been such a big theme, besides team fighting, has been kind of dive, finding one member, picking them off. It's how RNG won against T1 yesterday, that pick on owner. And a Malzahar does allow you to do that, allows you to get your Viego rolling, get your Tristana resets.
How do you answer a flash R without a QSS?
Well,
without a Q. If you haven't paid the Malzahar tax, I don't think you do, right? It's perfect.
Well, no, without you definitely don't.
We saw the power of Bei flash R-ing. He did it just last game.
That's the angle you take.
And now Froggy. Yeah, the power of Bei.
Atlus.
Yeah?
Come on.
What do you mean?
Come on.
Flash R. Okay, that's all I'm saying. As Froggy going to have his personal Banshee's Veil that he didn't have to pay for broken. And he's just going to have a dance. Yep, there we go.
Pocket.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
starting off
a huge advantage.
Incredibly well.
Well, Wei's going to go back. And it's just going to be a bit quiet here in the early stage. Not going to be setting up any 5 stacks or anything like that. Very interested in how this bottom lane is going to go. As you already spoke about, Shogun and Taki have been so good at the early minutes of the laning phase. But Gala and Ming are no strangers to very aggressive bottom lanes. And this is also one of those matchups that we have to be pretty clued in on, right? Because Flack had just received his first loss here of MSI 2022. And that is, of course, our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz as well. And this is going to be a big test, as Gala will have to show that it's going to be very difficult for G2 to get that win streak back on the right stage.
As expected, early aggression coming through here from Bin. Something that he has made a trademark. His hook hits from Ming, but doesn't actually want to go in. We see BeanJ pathing towards the top side, and that is generally the early test, as was found to stun.
Yeah, this is a bit dangerous as Bin's going to get lit on fire. Hasmed looking for it, but we've got action on the bottom side as well. Of course we do, as Shogun gets himself out of the way. Explosive charge goes off, but Gala has created enough distance. There's the Ren to come out as RNG still pushing this one forward. Ming will not be removed from the lane. Saigon Buffalo will have to back away. On the top side of the map, no one died. Certainly a lot of aggression in the early stage, despite there not being too many results.
I don't know about the all-in against an enemy lane that has Ignite advantage over you. He was lucky to a certain extent and happy, had the knowledge of where BeanJ was. They placed a ward on the Raptors early on. But if BeanJ goes for a really aggressive early pathing there, shows up on top side, and you use your flash aggressively, or rather reactive to an aggressive play like that, Bin definitely can get punished, and Bin throughout this tournament has been punished a lot as well. Now, that bot side skirmish ending up with a lot of summoners being used, but no team getting the real lead as, oh, Froggy, this is not looking good.
This is real dangerous. There's the shield broken. The flash forward, though, and yeah, it's just an auto for the stun. Froggy's very dead, and Xiaohu picks up first blood. A fantastic start for RNG, and it's early in this game, too.
And it accelerates Viktor so much, right? Like especially for Xiaohu, being able to get closer to upgrading your skills, being able to get early gold, makes it so much harder to not only play around the... don't face check.
He's not in the brush. Oh my... Wow, that could have been real bad for Xiaohu, but thankfully, it wasn't. So, never mind. It's all fine.
Yeah, no, exactly right. He will never know, because he just, assumes that Xiaohu like knew that he was there from the get-go.
Well, Saigon Buffalo are going to have to back away from the bottom side. And what I was going to say is that now, if Viktor does get these leads, his ability to clear waves and just walk is actually very good. Yes, he uses a walking stick, but he can still get towards these other lanes if he does get that slight advantage so that the wave clear is online earlier than it otherwise would be.
Is it a walking stick or a staff?
It is a staff. I was thinking more about Swain, wasn't I? Because Swain's got
Swain, Swain definitely has got some issues walking-wise, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Viktor does too.
Viktor
Viktor has a few issues when it comes to the walking situation. I watched Arcane.
Have you not?
I learned about that, yeah.
Learned about the elaborate Viktor backstory. Luckily for him, he's walking very happily as, again...
Smith fighting against BeanJ. BeanJ just unafraid entirely, throws down the counter-strike, not going to go for any sort of extra aggression. I had to check the flash, not available just yet, so wasn't able to get the stun. It feels like these top laners are perpetually alert.
Ignite's available, BeanJ. But Wei coming here, and with how low Hasmed is, they can 100% hunt to zero him. BeanJ on his way, but they should be able to read the player. If they don't, and Ming gets out as well, this matchup gets so incredibly hard.
Hasmed playing it very far back, waiting for the minions to come to him, intelligently slinking towards Fog of War. Understood that there was something up. Just puts the wave in a decent position for himself, and he will get himself out of there. So that'll stick around. Wei's going to move back towards his jungle as well, and it was almost some stuff happening. No, but in the end, not too much did.
Not allowed, and RNG, thanks to that first blood, picking themselves up an early gold lead. And the most notable one, of course, is going to be towards that mid lane. And if your enemy has a Viktor and you're going towards those first few skirmishes, and he's farming, but that's the most of it, then you can feel so much safer. But now, Xiaohu with an early lead, plus a Wukong, plus Ming, is so much lockdown, so much threat, and if you overextend into an early fight, into a choke point, you don't get the reset that you need with the Saigon Buffalo comp. It becomes really hard, and I do think they need the early objectives, because playing this game out late, there's ways,
do you know what they have access to? It's called Flash R. Xiaohu knows this. He's going to move himself back, and that's just the Doinby method, the Chaos Storm of the minion wave, and that is going to buy him a back. Not going to have to worry too much at all. He tidies up this Scuttle Crab towards the top side of the map. That's going to be traded for a Dragon on the bottom side. And things continue to stay calm. The avoidance of these traps set up on both sides of the map has been pretty impressive for both teams so far. We'll see who's going to be able to get the first real edge in this game. Outside of the first blood Xiaohu was able to pick up as Counter-Strike comes in towards the top side. BeanJ trading quite nicely here with Hasmed, who's looking to try and trade it back. Sets up some snips, but yeah, it's just getting both top laners down to about half health, as has been happening this entire game.
Crucially, Hasmed can't really go in due to his complete lack of vision on top side, and with Wei also threatening Saigon Buffalo, not really knowing whether or not Hasmed is going to be in trouble. He's going to have to drop the wave. Great call. But it still doesn't feel very good.
No.
Especially when it's a Viktor. It's just roaming towards your top side.
I like his walk animation as well. It is just a bit slow, just in general. But he's still doing it. It's Xiaohu. He's very happy to do so, as Hasmed has no teleport, so isn't going to be teleporting to his doom. BeanJ's going to be able to get some plates here, though, so it doesn't even really matter. This is like the perfect plate gank, right? Where BeanJ will just passively get an advantage, even if that dive doesn't come off.
We got that. There's got to be a good LCK word for that.
I mean,
I can't believe we don't have
plate gank for quite some time.
I feel like you can do better than plate gank.
Didn't Wolf say plate gank first? What are you saying?
What?
He's your teammate.
Well, I felt good burning you, but now I feel bad. Wolf can't defend themselves. Let's move on to the Herald Atlas, please.
All right, Shelly going to be taken down here by RNG. They just rotate back and collect that one. Froggy unable to push out the wave quite quickly enough to force Xiaohu back to lane. It's going to mean that RNG have inside track on basically anything that they want right now, as a lot of vision does go down. That's a great gravity field to avoid any sort of damage from Froggy. Outside of the Malefic Visions, get on top of himself. BeanJ's going to teleport back in as well, and RNG, slowly but surely, this advantage is creeping forward for them. And this is not the same as our last game, right? It's not the same sort of we need to get ahead early type comp for both of these teams. But still, any advantage is going to be a little bit more meaningful, right? Because when you have compositions that are pretty happy to fight at similar stages, just being ahead becomes so much more important. As BeanJ moving up here towards the top side, looking for a potential dive. Counter-Strike pretty good at countering that.
Yeah, Viego Gwen into Jax doesn't feel great. Xiaohu also still have the teleport available, and while Unleashed teleport isn't there yet, can definitely teleport towards the turret as he picks up
That's a pretty early Ludens.
Yeah, the Ludens Master Guard Mythic very early. And if the nameplates are off, you can argue that, and I'd say that the Saigon Buffalo team comp has win conditions later in the game as well, right? There is the opportunity to play towards your Gwen. You can single take out individual targets and then start your Viego snowball. It's relatively hard for RNG. They're more short-range aggressive characters to work as Bin.
Yeah, BeanJ slinking into some camouflage. Bin's just going to leap strike, and that will be the perfect answer to avoiding this one.
But this is RNG, and it's Saigon Buffalo. So Saigon Buffalo, I'd say, always want to play with from a lead, because we have seen already that their mid-game, their rotations, their teamfight setups aren't necessarily the greatest. And then from RNG, they've had early games that were way worse, and they had no trouble coming back whatsoever. And they have a 1.2k gold lead.
Yeah.
So as an RNG fan, you're lounging back, grabbing another drink.
I think you're very, very comfortable, especially when the bottom side, you know, like it's 20 CS, the advantage is now Hasmed underneath his turret, has to deal with 3 members moving on up. Yes, Gwen is unable to be damaged, but she will have to move away from that turret. Thanks for calling us out, by the way, on the Gwen is immune over and over again situation, because I've struggled a lot not to say it over and over again, because she's been played so often. But that is going to be first turret blood going over to RNG. They're lining their coffers ever further as this game goes on, and Saigon Buffalo just haven't had too many answers. The rotation of the Malzahar here towards the top side is not going to be enough to save this one. 2 towers in a row? Damn, Shelly getting some value here as Froggy has to flash to get himself out of the way. And Ben just going to leap strike to get himself to safety. Hasmed now has a very long lane that he has to deal with here.
This is disaster. The amount of gold that was just put into RNG's pockets from a relatively even game state with, again, considering the teams, considering the performance of both of them thus far, still a great position to RNG having a monstrous lead. Going to be so much faster towards those mythics for Bin and Wei. And again, I'd like to reiterate, it's not like this composition is going to do has to do any of this. Like, you have Jax skills amazingly well. We've seen Wukong be incredibly effective as a pick, has basically been, outside of maybe things like the Lucian, one of the highest priorities, both in terms of bans and picks, champion in the entire game. And some of the range issues that you might argue the composition does have are aided by Xiaohu having 120 CS at, 12 minutes and having a kill and having first strike.
Yeah, Death Ray is actually a lot of range for the Viktor, and also being able to do so much damage with the Chaos Storm from pretty safe distance as well. That is going to be the Drake resetting a little bit, but Gala will be able to claim it regardless. Once again, I'm denied a Cloud Soul as the Hextech Drake does come through for our third. Yeah, sometimes you just don't get it, as the rocket jump is going to be interrupted. There's the Fate's Call just to mitigate the Buster Shot, and that will be the kill for Gala. So beautifully played by this duo from RNG.
So nicely done. And the one lane where it looks like Saigon Buffalo could still feel relatively well, because Hasmed has a CS lead, but Bin is still very much on parity with him in terms of game state. Now also plate going over, kill going towards Gala, and that explosiveness, that main characteristic of Saigon Buffalo, while we expected them to actually possibly make a splash in the Rumble stage, is just nowhere to be seen.
Let's have a look at this again, because Ming actually just getting caught out of the sky by Gala was so cool.
Yeah. Oh. He just, no, I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Gets thrown. No.
And then predicts the flash as well.
That was
no big deal.
It was really clean. I don't know what you do. Saigon's Buffalo's responses around the map just have been too slow, right? That rotation that we saw from Froggy over towards topside and BeanJ walking over was a really good example of a pace that's just not high enough, because RNG haven't even really sped up. That was a very telegraphed play. Everyone walked towards topside. And that one they couldn't really figure out a response to, so now I'd say it's Hail Mary teamfight or bust for Saigon Buffalo. Pick someone off, hope RNG overextends, and then maybe get Baron somehow.
Oh, this bait is actually really cute from RNG, but not going to be taken here by Saigon Buffalo, as the ward is giving RNG all of the information they would ever want.
There you go.
Froggy moves back into that mid lane as Chaos Storm, Gravity Field both go down here as Froggy's taking so much damage. Look, Xiaohu doesn't even worry about it. He just puts down the Chaos Storm and says, get out of my lane. Because
of how fed Xiaohu is, he now has
paid
a QSS.
The tax. Yeah, he paid the tax, but honestly, we kind of want him to get taxed that much. He earns a lot, you know?
Yeah, he does.
This is fair. This is fair.
This is proportional, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. If he didn't pay the tax, then it's like a Jimmy Carr situation. It's not so good. Okay.
And he still has a Mythic, and he's up boots. And now Froggy finishes his Mythic as I finish my sentence, but that's still... This is... This game might not be over on the screens, but I have a really hard time imagining how Saigon Buffalo comes back here, because unless RNG like horribly mispositions, playing the front-to-back team fights is so hard for SGB, unless someone overextends, right? But the amount of mobility, the amount of safety, they can just poke with Xiaohu, who is doing expertly, right? They can wait with actually throwing any of their hard engage they have with Wei, with Ming, until Froggy is on the back foot. Because if you focus him, like, what else does Saigon do? You have a little bit of CC with Taki, and that's basically it. And
yeah, the comeback mechanics, there are not that many of them.
No. And I'm usually good at finding combat mechanics.
Wait.
You know, that's...
Oh, dear. Okay, well, he is at least going to be able to take a bit of Gala's health bar. All right, Froggy staying alive. Flash has to come out to avoid the solar flare. And that was looking real dangerous, but he had friends waiting in the wings. Saigon Buffalo now pushing down on this bottom side. Signs of life here from the VCS team. Ming and Wei, though, should be able to defend this one. Shogun moving down, he'll take himself a Hex Gate, and Bin is just happily farming on the top side of the map. Xiaohu doing the same thing in the mid lane. And yes, they get the flash out of Gala, but otherwise not too much to show for it.
Oh, he's living his best life, Bin. He's just having a great time. Shoving up as Xiaohu already able to dish out so much damage.
That's a lot of damage, yeah.
Level 11 now as well. Haven't even actually seen the Chaos Storm be used for fighting, but I'd imagine that it'd go according to expectations.
A lot of damage.
Yeah. And with the gold lead as is, those are the type of plays you need to go for a Saigon, right? Hope that RNG sticks around a little bit longer, but even with that play looking relatively promising initially, by the end of it, Gala had to flash. And Hasmed used a teleport, right? Stopwatch was invested as well by Froggy. So in the grand scheme of things, even that was a favorable trade. And that's the best looking play that we've seen from Saigon thus far. And it's going to require, I think, big mistakes from RNG. And RNG has had many faults, but they're not really showing up in this game.
No, not so much. Even, you know, Bin and Wei, who were certainly pretty loose cannons last time we saw them.
It's not a volley bear, Atlus. It's okay. We're safe.
Like, look at Bin.
Yeah.
It's just smacking an inhibitor turret, and no one's coming to stop him. As Hexgate's going to be used, Wei trying to look for some sort of flank, as now Xiaohu is being cornered. He flashes to get himself out of the way, and Shogun locks down the kill. But can they win the ensuing fight is the question. The answer so far is absolutely yes, as now rocket jump resets are coming forward. It's a double kill here for Shogun. Bin's looking to try and lock him down, and yes, he'll get that. But at what cost, Chronicler? And the answer is almost everything.
I thought Xiaohu had stopwatch. I was like, oh, he's fine, he's poking, but he gets blown up immediately, and he's such an important damage source. And RNG, I thought they were in the freest of positions. Now going to swing the gold lead back into Saigon's favor, give up a Drake that they didn't need to, and definitely some life in this game. Breathed in, which is very necessary. I was having a tough time.
No, it was definitely looking a little bit like Saigon Buffalo are just rolling over, but they absolutely weren't. Perhaps they had access to a Prime Gaming Scare Prize emote, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's check out this replay first before we go into that.
And I love what Xiaohu is doing here, but he gets hard focused, and crucially, he doesn't have stopwatch, so he just gets blown up, and that's a big damage shot's gone. And Bing comes into the fight. Wait, no, wait. Okay, there we go.
There he is.
There he is. So it's a disjointedness from RNG that even against a team that's behind, you can't do. If one kill starts happening, that's when this SGB comp can easily single out another, pick up a reset for Viego, pick up a reset for Tristana, because Shogun was hopping left, right, and center in that one. And really nice team fight from Saigon Buffalo.
Done. Absolutely beautifully done. Hasmed, huge shout out to him as well as the solo laners from Saigon Buffalo did so much work. And you too could turn fights like that, because you can grab your exclusive Scare Prize Prime Gaming emote, so you can strut when you flash in and turn a fight, Chronicler. Would you like to do that? Turn a fight against RNG?
I'm not really a strut. I'm not really, I mean, definitely, yeah.
You're not really a strutting type guy?
What conceivable situation I would find myself in for that to ever happen.
All right, well,
I appreciate the optimism.
Well, maybe if you had a Scare Prize Prime Gaming emote, you'd be able to strut.
That'd be better.
Yeah, you could learn. There's
you
hope
like
for
strutting?
all of us.
Are you a strutter?
No, not so much myself, but I also have not got my Scare Prize Prime Gaming emote.
How many times are you going to say that, Liz?
Yeah, about as many times as I can. I'm getting much better
Really pushing it.
Well, Xiaohu now going to just be death ray in this minion wave on the bottom side, and RNG probably not too perturbed.
No, they shouldn't be.
But now Saigon Buffalo know that it is possible. It's possible to win these fights, and getting that first kill started is something that they're very capable of, because they have access to Flash R. Well, they will have access to Flash R when Flash is back off cooldown.
Momentarily. It also showcases that as I think a good of a position RNG is in here, don't fight 4v5 or 3v5 really, because Xiaohu got blown up almost immediately. And now, see RNG still with a sizable gold lead, still with amazing team fights. As you pointed out, I'm not going to be too bothered by this. The main thing that this did was avoid us from going into full podcast mode as BeanJ.
Yeah, Xiaohu catching him off to the side. Heartbreaker has to be used to get himself out of there, as now Wei just going to decoy his way out rather than getting in. And Gala tidies up the minion wave. And RNG, they can do this. They don't have to commit to these fights. They can see whether there's an option, but it does mean there's a few buttons on cooldown, but not anything really to worry about. Still with Cyclone available, depth charge still there, Fate's Call. So RNG, a lot still in the tank. They are going to go for a reset now and then consider what they want to do afterwards. And look at all of the vision for RNG right now. Like, it is absurd. They know everything that's going on.
Mode itemization from Gala as well, gone for wits and second, which in elongated fights going to give him a lot of value, and in 2D double AP threats of Hasmed and Froggy is going to help him out a lot. Secondly, I think ideally Gala stays as far away in the team fight as possible, away from Shogun, especially with the dive he has with Bing and Wei. Is looking for a play on Xiaohu there, but he is aware of the existence of Hex. I mean, he's Viktor. Of course he is.
BeanJ walked into the death ray that Xiaohu blindly threw into the brush, which can't feel great as another Chaos Storm goes down. Gwen unable to be damaged though, but she can do the work herself. It's going to be baited out though. Xiaohu with the perfect flash will avoid it. Bin also died somewhere, but they answer it. Yep.
Not sure what happened there. I'm sure we'll get to see a replay as Bin gets taken out in the 1v2, and Hasmed returns the favors. Like, you go down, I go down.
Yeah.
Top lane is nothing but a fight between equals. If you go down, so will I. And overall, pace of the game kind of stagnating. I think the real breaking moment is coming up in a little bit when this Drake spawns. And I also think Froggy is dead.
Oh, yeah. Froggy's, this is going to be very difficult to get out of. And by difficult, I mean impossible. Gala's going to be delivered that kill. I apologize for the lack of enthusiastic play-by-play in that situation, but I just don't think that there was very much hope for Froggy to outplay it on malzahar, unfortunately.
Is there a timeline? I ask of you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's just,
I don't think so.
It's not quite, you know, like Caps' Silas play where you can dash everywhere and do this stuff. Like, you just don't really have access to it.
Play.
Yeah.
Love that. Instead, it's going to be RNG just straight up picking up the Drake here, which overall just means that Saw is further away than it could have been otherwise. Maybe we'll go to the maximum amount of Drakes in this game. Would be quite nice.
That would be the dream. Just to get as many Hextech Drakes as possible. So we're going to check out what happened to Bin as we were focusing on the top side. I just teleported.
That explains it. Because I was actually ready to be like, Bin, if your team is making a play on the top side of the map, you know, back off. But wasn't caught pushing, was caught teleporting, and died nonetheless, not able to join the play. But
he obviously knew what his mistake was, and unfortunately did not make up for it quite quickly enough. So I think we'll forgive him.
Yeah, it's like you're channeling a teleport, and then Tristana. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not great.
And it wouldn't be very nice if we said, well, you should have got out of there earlier. He's like, yeah, obviously I knew that.
I know that. God, guys. I'm sure a lot of people have told Bin that.
I imagine, and I also imagine that he just does not care.
I mean, they've been winning a lot. I'm sure he's feeling fine.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's
only 3.5k though.
Yeah,
Cronicler.
No,
it's not a overwhelming advantage here for RNG, and we've seen that Saigon Buffalo can certainly win fights. And of course, Shogun, as the game goes on, he's already level 14. He's been drawing a lot of beads. You know, there's pictures of beads everywhere.
Pictures?
He's drawing beads. That's what it means, right?
I kind of assumed it meant like the act of putting him on the string into like a cool necklace or something.
Maybe
a bracelet.
That might be it.
I feel like Tristana's more of a bracelet
because you can draw beads along the... Oh, wow. That is another incorrect thing that it also
I mean, you should learn something. Don't have to frame
no, I like it. I really appreciate it. As Froggy going to move back towards this mid lane, looking to try and protect his inner turret. But RNG haven't really been able to find too many more avenues of attack. And Bin looking for his opportunity here towards the bottom side, but it is a full health Gwen who's very happy sitting on 2 items.
Yeah, has Ignite as well. Just finished Nashus, so don't think you want to go for that. And the Nashus choice makes a lot of sense as they go in.
All right, in goes Shogun trying to reposition with the rocket jump, but what's more powerful, 4 members of Saigon Buffalo or 1 gravity field? And gravity field at that point did win out a little bit in that
chase that, unfortunately. And it's funny that the most LCK game we get is a team, or is a game between the VCS and the LPL.
Yeah, I wasn't quite prepared for this level of passivity, but we also were completely prepared for this level of passivity, you know?
We've been trained for this.
Yeah. I didn't have it at the ready, you know? Like, I wasn't flexing those muscles this morning in preparation for this game. I assure you.
We get the chance nonetheless.
Yeah.
It is RNG, and as far as LPL teams go, they're not necessarily known for their aggression, but still, little tidbit as this game has slowed down to a glacial pace.
Yeah, the gold graph I think is basically a flat line at this point. We will need to resuscitate it in order to find a victor, I could imagine. Well, you don't need it. There's a victor in the mid lane, but if you want to find a winner of this game, you'll need to resuscitate the gold.
Come from the Netherlands, and flat land is just as good as mountainous land. Atlus, I don't know what you're. I don't like what you're implying here.
Not land. Oh no.
That's actually one of the best parts about Korea. Is like how
you see a hill for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't really get those. It's very unfortunate.
I remember how fascinated you were with the amount of hills there were in Korea.
It just makes me happy. You know, I just like going from up to down, and I'm sure Xiaohu is going to feel great when he finishes his death cap. That feels like a break point that is going to make Saigon's life really, really hard.
How do you feel about the Lich Bane in this game? Because I know that there's been a lot of opinions about Lich Bane on Viktor and the amount of value that it has. As Hasmed's in a bit of trouble here, Bin is just looking to kill him. As he, it was almost Gwen things, but nope, it's going to be the 1v1, 1 out by Bin. Now RNG moving towards the Baron as well. 4 versus 5 technically. Unleashed Teleport available here for Bin to get back with the rest of his team. Teleport towards the bottom lane is a thing you could do, and that is going to mean that RNG can move towards the Baron, take that one for themselves, and Saigon Buffalo will get an outer turret in the bottom lane.
I need a moment to process that.
Yeah, no, you can have one. I think you deserve it.
Reasonably, as Saigon, I do think the core is like you're never going to be able to contest that Baron ever, right? Because you're down a member and you're fighting into a Viktor, you're fighting into a Wukong. Bin can still join the fight because he has Unleashed Teleport, and you have no vision. So the overall situation is just real bad. And in that scenario, I can see a situation. You know what, guys?
Yeah,
just
it kind of
trade
makes
as
sense,
much as we can. Trade as much as we can. Get 2 turrets, so we get at least a little bit of gold. Shove out waves, so they need to take more time to actually get to us, and then go from there. As the Ignite was actually available here, and if Hasmed is actually able to elongate this fight, I think he wins, right? Like one, there you saw it at the end, but he doesn't, and Bin hits a level up off of it as well, so the Ignite isn't even going to take him down.
Yeah, like getting almost into the brush as well. Hasmed could have possibly weaved another auto or two, but
that's why he picked Jax, right?
Yeah. And he also has his Blade of the Ruin King and his Divine Sunderer. He's very, very happy at this point in time on the Jax. And now Soul Point available for RNG. As you mentioned, we do want to get to as many Drakes as possible this game. That will mean that Saigon Buffalo will need to lock down the next one to guarantee the 7.
So you were asking about the Lich Bane and want to go back to it for at least a little bit. In this game specifically, I think it gets more value than many LCK situations where they picked it up against like Corkies.
And a lot of range,
Yeah, in this case, there is actually short range as RNG goes in.
Yeah, depth charge onto Froggy. He's going to mitigate it with his stopwatch. Gets underneath his Nexus turrets. There's the ulti as well, and immediately they blow up Ming. But the base is broken. The inhibitor will go down. Saigon Buffalo now have to chase after RNG if they want to kill anyone. They're not going to be able to. So yes, they're a man down, but RNG do break the base.
Minions? They get the bot side turret. Overall, of course, favorable trade, even with the pickup, although...
Yeah, we have Hex Gates. We have
a lot
Hex
of
Gates. Yeah, BeanJ thinking about trying to get over, but can't really do it right now. Just going to move towards that mid lane. Yeah, getting out of your base is certainly something that's a little bit quicker, but not going to catch after them. And Saigon Buffalo now back to trying to get themselves okay. And there was a slight blip in the gold graph, but otherwise, not too much, right? We're only at about 4,000, and at 30 minutes into the game, doesn't mean a whole lot. But RNG have been playing this out far better so far, despite not necessarily having the largest of Red Bull Baron power plays thus far. Then, you know, positive 15 gold or so.
Actually remarkable.
Not exactly the greatest.
In hindsight, the loss of the inhibitor, of course, is going to make it much harder to play the map. And I'd still argue, even with the gold as is, it's an RNG win, not in small part due to just how the team comps function. But the going for those turrets actually helped them a lot in staying relevant in terms of gold. Which is nice. I agree. Good for you, Saigon Buffalo. Just got to win the upcoming team fight.
Exactly. Well, RNG are going to make it as difficult as possible for them as Ming is back here with the rest of his team. Xiaohu throwing out these death rays, and it's another inhibitor just going down. Saigon Buffalo unable to actually find any sort of fight that they're looking for. As Solar Flare comes down, it's just going to slow them momentarily. And RNG is just walking in, taking their stuff and leaving.
So shouting out the confidence on Xiaohu. Yeah, sure, he has a QSS, but still getting absolutely pummeled in a previous fight. Like, I'm not gonna feel anything defensively. I'm all
He needs a void stuff now.
Well, you know who needs void stuff is people on Saigon Buffalo, because there is a lot of Merc threats. There is a Locket. There is a Wit's End. So Force of Nature. So neither Hasmed nor Froggy having the best of times. The one upside, if you could call it that, for Saigon Buffalo here, is that it does give more relative power to Shogun, but it also makes it easier for RNG to know we killed this guy, and it's immediately done.
Yeah, and the amount of gap close that they have is absurd as well.
Yeah, there is Ming, who can be thrown in, who can flash. There is a Wukong. There's a level 18 Jax with just a lot. He's got a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a few things there. It looks like it might be Guardian Angel to come through next, on top of the Force of Nature he already has against the double AP that neither have Void Staffs. Yeah, Bin's going to be very, very happy with how this game is going. Currently in that top side, getting that one pushed out. And of course, won't have too much trouble with that, as there are no inhibitors in the side lanes here for Saigon Buffalo. And yes, there is the argument to be made that those waves will freely push towards them, right?
Free money.
The problem is that RNG gets ownership of their entire jungle. They can easily just pick up the Dragon Soul whenever they would like to. And I don't expect that RNG will let Saigon Buffalo just sit back and farm up those waves. So they are going to push now for this inner turret, the last one remaining. And we'll see whether Saigon Buffalo do have any answers here. His shield's going to get broken. There's another depth charge and dredge line. Decent knock up there, but BeanJ does go into the camouflage. It's just not going to be enough to save Taki, though. Left out to dry here. Saigon Buffalo just realizing that they could not do anything to stop the onslaught.
Two choices here for RNG. The less risky one is just get soul. The riskier one, try to push with Taki down. You're a member up, but they're going to play it slow. I think that's the right call. With Hextech Soul, losing this game becomes excruciatingly difficult. The amount of value that you're going to get with the extra attack speed, the zap for Xiaohu, who's going to make him just exceptionally happy. And Saigon Buffalo, they know this as well. They also identify, again, similar to last time, they can't contest this. Nope, there's no way.
Yeah, so that is going to be Soul. RNG now with a lot of extra power.
Building Morellos into RNG when they're stacking this much MR.
I didn't really want to mention it.
You know me, I'm not generally one to go on too much about itemization, but this one, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Especially when we were just talking about a specific other item that we would like purchased. Is now Froggy looking to grab Bin. Not going to be able to find the silence, but it doesn't matter if he can just press R. Counter-Strike comes down though, and Bin just walking this one out. The rest of RNG have now formed up, and the Gwen is very, very dead. Ming's going to break his stopwatch finally. Flashes to get himself out of the way. It is going to be the answering kill. Oh, very, very close to getting out. And now Saigon Buffalo trying to reform, but it is just not going to work. Some resets come in, but that is still going to be the ace, and RNG should now win this game.
They took their leisurely time, but in the end, RNG never ever really getting threatened. Bin took a full ultimate there from Froggy. He's just like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, look at the shirt that he bought. It's a really cool No Magic Please shirt that he picked up. That Force of Nature working out. And the Nexus is going to fall. RNG now equalize in scoreline with G2 as we end the first round robin of the MSI 2022 Rumble stage. Big congratulations, and that rematch that is coming up in just a couple of games' time just became all the more spicy.
I love it. The two, or specifically the win that was gathered previously by PSG, has completely thrown off this entire group. And Saigon Buffalo, they can't quite repeat the feat that PSG was able to pull off. And as such, lose to the expected favorite RNG. A couple of mistakes left and right, but
I think this was one of
these games. Like, there was never really any sense of threat, which is why the LCK podcast made a surprise appearance in a VCS LPL game. And we see some of the individual moments, but that explosiveness that I think we were looking for Saigon Buffalo, RNG never really gave them opportunity. Like, they never really allowed them to go for these extremely aggressive plays. And then as the pace of the match just slowly went on, you know, like a river in a flat land, not that much going on, RNG just gets in nips, wins the fights.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, this was the RNG that I remember, you know. RNG did have a few more exciting moments, you know, with Bin and Wei playing towards their playstyle and things like that. But RNG was, as has been mentioned many times, one of the more slow and methodical of the LPL teams. We got a bit of an idea about exactly how that one goes if they're able to play their game. But we're stepping away for a quick break, but coming up next, it's T1 versus